Dang says I'm like, it's that time of week again. And yes, I'll probably go there, but you know what? The I go there place is hand in hand with biblical spiritual things. Georgia State Gaming, I seen you in there. Welcome aboard. Don't know you, but I'll get to know you if you can handle me. I hope you've already watched some videos so you got an idea of what I'm like. If not, we'll see if you stick around. Joe Fix It for you. Joe C. Melinda, I see you left and came back. Welcome back. Let's see.
And I haven't seen anything recently posted from Miss Joy except for the one she did on Facebook the other day.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Melinda had mentioned that was fine. I said that. I don't know what's going on. I know they had a rough week last week. Other than that, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, well, we got an anniversary coming up, and there's somebody I'm gonna have to whoop them sometime because they just too nice to us. Appreciate that. You know who I'm talking about. Got my fuel filter in, so as soon as my sockets come in, I'll get to see whether or not I can tackle that or not.
Hi, Josie. Hi, Teresa.
Teresa J. So there's that. Well, you shouldn't talk about politics and religion. Well, actually, you should. Because if you don't talk about it, then you're treating it just like trash service. You don't care what happens to it as long as somebody else takes care of it. Nope, ain't seen Mama Linda.
She was in last night, but I haven't seen her today.
Don't know whether she'll show up or not, but if she does, great. If not, well, we'll miss her. Yeah, it should be talked about because otherwise it's trash service. You don't care what happens to it so long as somebody else deals with it. Well, as long as somebody else is dealing with it, you don't know what's going on, truthfully. They can hide all sorts of stuff, but that's what they've been doing, is hiding all sorts of stuff. They've allowed the communists to come in and take over and everything, and that's what's being attempted to be gotten rid of, is the communists in the system. Jasmine Crockett is in trouble. She's being investigated by the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, because she received donations from Act Blue. And those donations were illegally gotten. Getting people's information and charging them, making charges to their accounts to provide money to donate to who they want. And Act Blue is a Soros. It's a baby of Soros. It's one of the things that he backs. It's also involved with USAID, which is also another illegal operation. Yeah, people just really amaze me. They'll say they don't trust the government no further than they can trust them, but when a major calamity happens, who's the first one that they're clamoring after and looking to for help? The government. Instead of God, they're looking to the government. If they look to God first, God will make sure the government does what it's supposed to do. So your first trust is the government instead of God. But then you'll say you don't trust the government. Obviously you do. They're the first ones you look to when something goes wrong. Well, there should be a law against it. Well, they should do something about that. This, that, and that, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you'd been keeping an eye on it, instead of all of us being asleep at the wheel and letting them do whatever they wanted to. We could have stopped it before it started. But that too was according to God's plan. God already planned all this out from beginning to end and everything in between. There's a reason for that. God is creating a people that love him and willingly choose to serve him. Not everybody gonna be there. Not everybody gonna make it. Sad. Facts of life. Oh, they were taken too early in life. Their life was ended too soon. No, it wasn't. That was according to God's plan. We might not like it. That's according to God's plan. Why? Well, that's going to have an effect on a lot of different people. It's going to affect people different ways. How are we going to react to the situations that God puts in our lives? Are we going to rant and rave and rail against God, or are we going to be like Job and say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away? It's just as simple as that. So that's what there is on that. They looking at AOC or Jasmine Crockett to be the new leader of the Democrat Party. There's bad and then there's worse. AOC's a straight up full-blown socialist and Jasmine Crockett is a full-blown racist. Just listen to her talk. You can't tell she's racist by the things she says. I feel sorry for you because you have no discernment. You know, AOC and Bernie Sanders have pretty much hooked up together. Oh, which one? I wonder which one bends the other one over. Yeah, I said that, and I went there. Seeing what I have with Bernie Sanders, I'd say the AOC would be the dominant one. Just saying. You know, so, yeah, we should talk about it. Politics and religion. Not necessarily be involved in it, you know, do your thing, go vote, but you should have your say about it too. Stand up for what's right and what's true. And if you can support something that goes against God, and remember the Democrats booed God, and you can still support that, if you think you're serving God, you might think twice. You better hit an altar somewhere. That's right, Melinda. So true. Had somebody tell me I should stop this BS. Well, it ain't BS because I speak truth. I see truth. Some of y'all have had a taste of the intelligence that resides herein. No, I'm not no great philosopher. I'm not no great this or that. Where does that intelligence come from? Some of it's my own. Most of it ain't. God lets me see things. He gives me a discerning spirit. Like I mentioned video recent. Last one or two videos I done. I used to be real puzzled. And I used to be confrontational and call people and say, oh, you're just overreacting. Oh, you're just overthinking. Turns out, no, I wasn't either. They were manipulative little sons of guns and witches. And they were using me. I ignored my gut and I paid for it. Not anymore. But you can look out there, what's going on in the world. You can see the Bible coming to pass right before your eyes. Said in the end time, they would not want to retain the truth in their lives, in their minds, because they can't stand the truth. Just like with Elon, Doge, rather than people being mad at the fraud, waste, and abuse, they're mad at the one that's finding it. Make that make sense to me. That don't make any sense. You're going to be mad at the one finding the fraud, waste, and abuse instead of being mad at the fact that the fraud, waste, and abuse exists and exists in the abundance that it is. But you mad at the one finding it? Might need to check yourself. Because you're at risk of hating the truth. And especially if you are a God-fearing person. But you can go along with a party that wants to support abortion on demand. Arlene! You might want to check yourself.
Hey, Arlene.
Now, I know there are some special cases where regrettably it should be done. But what anybody with half a brain is upset about is it's not the ones that actually need it that are in question. It's young women who want to go out and live very promiscuously, then be able to go to a place to have an abortion for free at taxpayer expense. You want to have an abortion, that's your business. You pay for it. The American taxpayer shouldn't have to pay for your promiscuity. It's as simple as that. Roe v. Wade being turned over is not a bad thing because it's being allowed to go back to the states to be arbitrated in each particular state. You can plead your case there. But you won't be having the American taxpayer pay for your promiscuity. And that's the whole thing behind it. But it's also a tool for those who would destroy this nation because it's a great way to diminish our numbers, for one. It's a great way to get the materials for that adrenochrome, for two, which makes a lot of money because the elites love that stuff because it keeps them young. So they have no problem sacrificing children in order to have that. And if you can support that, are you sure you're a God-fearing Christian? Yeah, I said it. Are you sure you serve God when you can support something like that? Told one lady, went to commenting with me back and forth on Facebook, trying to talk about how bad Putin was. I said the reason Putin went into Ukraine was to destroy that adrenochrome factory. So I asked a woman, which do you prefer to support? A monster that kills children in order to make a product that sells for a lot of money, or a monster that'll go in and kill the monster that would kill children? Which one do you support? Now, I don't like Putin. I don't support his ideologies or philosophies. or his political way. But I do respect the man because he protects his nation. He stands up for his nation. He told Muslims point blank, you go by our laws. We don't go by yours. If you can't do that, you don't need to be here. Sorry, not sorry. Muslims are like parasites. They'll come in a little at a time, breed like rabbits, become the dominant population, and then they take over. And if you don't believe the way they believe, they either kill you or they tax you so bad you starve to death and you wind up dead anyhow. That's just a fact of life. Study how they've done throughout history. You'll find that's what they do. They come in all nice and humble. Oh, we're so peaceful. While they're plotting your destruction. It has never failed. That is their modus operandi.
Hi, Sampy.
Sammy! Chinese are much the same. Communists are anyway. Chinese people actually don't have a problem with it. Because like that Kevin O'Leary said, throughout history, they've brought a lot to the table with culture and history and art and all sorts of stuff. It's the communists there that are the problem. They're a bunch of sneaky cowards that do things in secret. Had Kamala won, they was going to come in. All those Chinese at those farms around the military bases would have subdued the military bases and then come out for the rest of us. And they had backup waiting down there at the Panama Canal, just waiting on Kamala to be announced the president because she was going to hand the keys of the United States over to Jinping. They say that all you want to, but if you start studying strategy and tactics and thinking about it and think how they think, that's exactly what they was going to do. You can call me wrong, disagree with me, all like that, all you want to. But folks, you cannot change the truth. Once you know, you got a hunter goes out and hunts. They study their prey. My cat Nala, when she was still around. Nala was huge. She's about 20, 25 pounds, solid muscle, strong as could be. She fought off a coyote, tore it up. But one summer, there was this squirrel that kept taunting her. Nala just sit there and watch. And all summer long, that squirrel would come down this tree out here and come down to the bottom and kind of and Nala started to move it, shoot back up that tree. Well, one day, near the end of the summer, we saw Nala out there playing hacky sack with that squirrel's head. That squirrel got too cocky and messed up. Well, that's what any enemy of the United States does. They study us, see where our weaknesses are. Well, money happens to be one of those weaknesses. There's a lot of greedy people up there on that hill. So China got a lot of them to betray their nation with money. That's one of the ways they got all the money they got, because they ain't got no proof of where they got it through the stock market or business or anything else legitimate. All Trump's got is a 34-time felon. Really? He never got convicted. That is a lie talking point of the Democrat Party. Could ask them, what was the charge? They can't tell you what the charge was. They never said. It was never stated what the charge was. Oh, but Russia. Well, that was based off a dossier that was paid for by Hillary Clinton from some guy that wrote it up, and it was Adam Schiff who narrated the story and propagated that lie. And it has been proven to be a lie. And it has been proven that it was paid for by Clinton. You don't have to believe that, but it's the truth. It is the truth of the matter. So you've got Clinton, you got Adam Schiff still sitting up there doing whatever they want to when they have committed high treason. They shouldn't be sitting where they're sitting. They should be swinging, if you know what I mean. Because that is the only appropriate response to treason, especially of that high of a caliber of treason. It was all designed to try to keep Trump from getting back in that office because they knew that he now knew what was really going on and he would have a strategy for getting rid of it. You ain't got to agree with it or like it, but that's the truth. That's just how it is. But all of it still, in the end, is biblical. These things were to happen. God already knew they were going to happen because God already wrote it. God wrote in there and said that God is the one that sets the kings up and takes the kings down. To his purpose, to his will, according to his plan. So I can tell people, what is has got to be because it's already been done. Say, all this is history to God. He done wrote it. Wrote being past tense. Wrote it. It's been done. When Jesus died on the cross, he said, it is finished. He gave up the ghost. The future was actually completed in our past. What'd you say? God created time like he did everything else, folks. So he can make it work however he wants to. It has been mentioned. Somebody else talked to him about that and mentioned it. And he hadn't ruled it out. There are a couple of ways that it could be achieved. It would take some doing, but like Steve Bannon told somebody, he says, I've pulled off longer long shots than that. I think it would be a good thing if you could, but it would also set a precedent to where other former presidents could do the same thing. And that might not be too good of an idea. It's one of the reasons why he chose J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is very patriotic. He loves America. And he's extremely smart. And Trump has been keeping him very close. He's been training and grooming him in how to do and what to do and when to do it. So that he can learn how Trump does it. So that we can still have a Trump-style presidency, even if it's Vance. So if we can get Vance on the next term for 2 terms, that would give us 12 years of straightening this thing out, which would be a good thing. Because by that time, we'd be able to weed out all the commies in our power infrastructure. And there's a lot of them up there, folks. The Democrat Party is not really the Democrat Party, it's the Communist Party. The Communist Party had their first national convention on U.S. soil in 1939. They came in 1900, same time they went into Russia. It only took them 20 years to do Russia, and they came in through the schools. Guess where they came in here? Through the schools. So that they could slowly teach generation after generation their precepts, ideas, and ideologies. So that when the time came, they would have a fully functional Communist Party. 1939, they had their first national convention. In the 50s, they were being hunted by McCarthy. They finally shut him down, saying he went too far. I don't think they let him go far enough.
There's Joey back in here.
Well, in the late 50s, the Communist Party disappeared, only to reemerge as the Democrats in the early 60s. There's one of them high-ups back then said that there would be some howlers over the Constitution because they planned on taking away constitutional rights even back then. It's one of the reasons JFK got eliminated. He was going to reveal them, for one, and his VP, he wasn't going to choose as his VP for the next round, but he didn't think he'd make a good president. He was the one who gave the word. JFK was no more. And it's just been worse ever since. And they've been crawling around in the backwaters and the sewers and all like that, doing what they do to try to take America down. So, there you go. But even that, folks, is still according to God's plan because God said in his word, even the wicked shall do his will. So it's not like God doesn't know. But if you can support things like abortion on demand, taxpayer funded, if you can support a party that booed God, if you can support things that proves God's word, said in the end times they would be vain in their imaginations. Well, I would consider men thinking they could become women pretty darn vain in their imagination. So you see in the Bible being fulfilled before your very eyes. Most people just don't realize it. Most people just don't want to see the truth. Oh, they're just being who they are. No, that's not who they are. Those are people that are influenced by demonic forces of Satan. Cut and dried, plain and simple. You ain't got to agree with it, but it's the truth. Prove me wrong. Just like the Doge thing, people being mad at the one finding it instead of being mad at the fact that it existed and he could find it. Make that make sense. If you can make that make sense, I might change my mind. Doubtful. Because you ain't going to be able to make that make sense. Come on now. Somebody make it make sense. Planned Parenthood was started by somebody who, in the end of her life, turned her life over to God. But she did a lot of damage, and she did her part as part of the wicked before she came to God. Started Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood, by her own words, was actually designed to wipe out the black race. That's what Planned Parenthood was started for. To end the lives of as many blacks as possible before they could even get started. Then they discovered adrenochrome. Then they discovered they could get money for this baby part or that baby part, for this part of a baby or that part of a baby. They made it a money-making thing. Every one of those doctors involved with that ought to be in jail just for breaking their Hippocratic oath alone. Not to mention mass murder. Every one of them. Now, like I said, I know there are going to be some cases where tragically it would be necessary. That should be a case-by-case basis. Other cases where it'd be saving a child from having a child. Because the child in gestation likely wouldn't make it no how. That's a case-by-case basis. And it's a very, very small decimal point of a percentage of cases like that. But the Democrats try to use that as, oh, it's rampant. No, it ain't. Because in addition to doing everything else I've mentioned that they were doing with that, it was depleting our numbers as Americans, taking us down that way. Putting female hormones in foods to effeminize men so they wouldn't be as manly. Well, custom screen printing, hello. Ginger!
Hi, Ginger. Hi, Wayne.
Well, all right. You know, there's a girl in here. I'm going to let her know that one of these days I'm going to have to whoop him, and she knows who I'm talking about, and he knows who I'm talking about. But just so you know, it's much appreciated anyhow. We love y'all. So,
Wayne, as far as the topic tonight, Piggy rambles.
I ramble. I'm talking about religion and politics and how they actually intermingle and how they should be talked about and not ignored. And it's kind of like, if you ignore that, it'd be like a toilet getting more and more clogged up, and you keep ignoring it, and one of these days it's going to shoot back up at you instead of going down. Because we ignored it. And that's basically what we are experiencing today, because those two things have been ignored by most people. It has been a crack in the door for the enemies of our nation to walk in and divide us. Because as you know, united we stand, divided we fall. We're pretty dang divided. Say some people want to believe the lies of one party, and there's other people that can see those lies. I can see those lies. I hear them. They twist stuff up, leave stuff out. You know, focus on one part. Like my senior DI boot camp taught us. You've always got that 10% and make it bad on everybody else. Well, that's what they do. They concentrate on 10% of something that's bad, but they don't tell you the whole story leading up to that 10% or involving that 10%. It's just as simple as that. Hard part of the problem is a lot of people don't want to think. So they leave it up to somebody else. Well, by doing that, you've defaulted any right you have to say anything about anything because you left it up to somebody else to think. In essence, you let yourself become a slave to something bad. Well, I reckon I'm doing pretty good considering I was supposed to be dead by now. I've been dead 3 times. Supposed to been dead when I had surgery on my neck, got nerve damage to my spinal cord. Yeah, I remember you in the Lanes Live last night. I was wondering whether or not you'd show up. Maybe one day you'll be here because you want to be, not just because somebody else told you.
We love y'all too, Ginger.
Yes, we does. So this is all I got left to do on the YouTube. I can't really get out and do much. I can't afford to do much. I am here again. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Sounds like a line out of Scrooged. Derek Fowler.
Hi, Derek.
Like I said, Custom, maybe one day you'll come in because you want to come in. But anyway, this is all I got left to do is sit here and think and put 2 and 2 together. Some of it may wind up being preaching, and some of it may be calling out the lies of the liars up there on the hill. Well, thank you. Because like I said, I'm poor and disabled, so I can't do a lot. Doing any little thing wipes me out. I can wash dishes and my back will be out. So there ain't a whole lot I can do physically. I can't draw. I can't draw a straight line, much less draw. You know.
I can draw a sort of straight line with a ruler, but it ain't quite straight.
Even when I use a ruler or speed square, I can make a straight line against something with that speed square or ruler, and it still looks like it's not square. That's got to be something to do with my vision. I got bad vision anyhow. I can't do that. I would do some crochet, but here the last several months, my hands have got to where they'll lock up real quick. That's the nerve damage working on me. You know, so I can walk, but not for a long time. And after a while, I get stove up in my lower back because of it. There ain't a whole lot I can do except sit here, watch tubes. I try to watch as many of those that I like in the homesteading community and all that, but a lot of times I wear them out real quick, so I go to watching other stuff. Well, I'll go see what's up with current events. Damn! You know, so this is all I got left in me.
Hey, Dale.
Yeah, but it's also part of what God had for me to do. God gave me 2 prophecies when I was 15. Well, this right here is fulfilling actually both of those prophecies. So he told me one, I had a big work to do, and he told me that everything I touched would become as gold. In other words, it would become precious to him. Well, I've touched a number of lives doing this. And this is kind of work because I've told many. I'd much prefer to be doing something else. But there are people that God obviously has for me to be a part of their lives because they need what it is that He does through me to them. Most of it is just to speak truth. He shows it to me. He gives it to me. I get started on something, He takes over until I lose steam. And when I lose steam, I know the Holy Ghost ain't in it no more, and then I wind it down. Well, if you've already subscribed to me, you'll be able to see my notifications come up anytime I put something out, which I put something out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, usually at 8 a.m. if I don't mess up the time. My last one for Saturday came out Friday night at midnight. I don't know how I messed that up. But if you've subscribed, you'll get, hit that little bell icon and hit all. You'll get my notifications. So that shouldn't be a problem. I might see about come taking a look at what you got. But I got so many to try to watch, I can't watch everything. Because this right here, doing my videos and talking the way I do and talking about what I do, doing this right here is what God has for me to do. Rest of the time, even if I'm watching videos, I'm sitting here playing games while I listen to the video. And there are things like this constantly running in my mind. It is not silent inside of here, folks. Not a bit.
I wouldn't want to be walking around in there.
I'm almost like Elon. Except Elon's a lot more successful than I am. He had, he was intended to be used for what he's being used for. Being rich and inventing things was not what God had intended for me. So I'll deal with it. Well, if you subscribe, that's showing support. Shoot, you got more than 10 times the amount on yours than what I got. Because you apparently have a lot to offer on yours. And that's good. I get it. And I say more power to whatever it is you do. And hope it goes even further. Because that's the other thing I do. Is I encourage others to go for their dream. To go for what it is they're wanting to do in life. Anybody's got to even a little bit of courage to put in half an ounce of effort to try for something, I'm going to encourage you to do it. It's what I do. And there have been many that have been working on coming up and are coming up. Like Derek, I dared him to do it. He did good. He's steadily learning more and more. Proud of him. It don't matter if I grow. I'll wind up talking about God or preaching or something one way or another sooner or later on mine. All the time. You're welcome, Derek. My pleasure. See, that's what, that's my reward, is seeing people go for it and start coming up. It's like watching the flowers bloom. It's a beautiful thing to see. So that's what I do. That's my main thing, is encourage folks. And in that way, I touch people's lives so they become precious unto God, which fulfills the big work that he has for me to do. So that's what I'm doing. So that's all I got. Talk about that, or talk about politics and religion and how it goes hand in hand. Because as I've said, what is has to be, because it's already been done. It's already history to God. We just got to live through it until our time meets his time. Because I got a theory on that too. My Aunt Mary, who is probably one of the most powerful people of the Holy Spirit that I ever knew. You get 50 feet away from her and you can feel the Holy Spirit coming off of her in waves. Make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. She'd rather cut a finger off than lie to you. She was just that kind of woman. Now she'd gotten old and frail, osteoporosis. She was bent over real bad. But I guarantee you would not harm that woman. There'd be something change your life around before you could get to her. Unless it was God's way. Unless God had something for her to go through because of it. Otherwise, you're going to have something get a hold of you that you just going to wish you never found out.
Aunt Mary was a special lady.
She was. But
like I say, probably one of the only members of your family that I truly have anything for.
But I hadn't thought of that.
I'm sorry.
I done lost it before you spoke up.
Okay.
That wasn't your fault. But yeah, oh yeah, I know. Our time meeting his time. She believed the rapture would take place before she died. Well, the rapture didn't take place. She died. But I've got a theory on that. See, our time is not the same as God's time. We're living in what is to God already history. So that means we're behind God's time. So I've got a theory. This is just a hypothesis. When we die, we get brought up to real time with God. We will have gone through the rapture and everything else by the time we get set up in heaven and come into being on real time with God. And see, God can do it like that because he made it all. And he knows how it works. Basically, when we die, we'll be catapulted into what we would call the future to go through all of that, to be a part of it. Because once we die, our spirit is separated from our bodies. Our spirit is energy, sentient energy, and we become eternal. Just depends on whether we're going up or down. If we're going up, you'll go end up going through the rapture and then being with God through all that. If you're going down, you'll miss the rapture, go past all that other stuff, and then be in torment as you look at Satan laughing at you. Because you chose not to believe the truth. But that's my hypothesis on that. So if that hypothesis is true, then my Aunt Mary was right. She went through the rapture before she died. And she firmly believed that she would go through the rapture before she died. Because God showed her a lot of stuff too. River Rat!
Hey, River Rat.
All right, well, you have a good time at that river. Catch me some catfish and send it to me. Preferably already filleted. Teresa leaving too? Well, bye, Teresa. Have Elaine put that in her frying pan, cook it up, and I'm yum. Man, you bought some catfish from over at the butcher shop, didn't you?
I've got catfish in the freezer. I've got striped bass in that freezer. I've got shrimp in that freezer.
Oh, boy. I know she's got plans for that sooner or later.
Might have me a nice old fish fry and fish bake. You never know.
Huh?
I said, might have me a fish fry and fish bake. You never know what we're going to have.
Yeehaw! Anyway. Well, I kind of lost aim. Kind of lost track. It's been almost an hour. So I'm probably going to call it. So I'm going to tell y'all like I tell you on my videos. Y'all think about it. Piggy loves you.